You have to train hard. You have to do sets to failure. You have to do that.
Not only does he say train hard, because hard is subjective, you have to take sets to failure. Coach Greg, and today what I'm doing is I'm going to go over a video by John Meadows titled Natural versus Enhanced, How to Train. So I'm going to do is I'm going to watch a video, pause it, explain if what he's saying makes sense or if it doesn't. Now, if you don't know John Meadows, he has 300 and some thousand followers. He's a very smart guy. He has an IFBB Pro card and coaches a lot of people. So he's kind of like me, only he's even older and has even potentially more experience coaching than even I do. I've competed against him. He's a great bodybuilder and he's jacked and huge and has real world practical experience, not just stupid studies and, oh, I read it in a study. He actually walks the walk, talks the talk, and he has muscle. He's ripped all the time, and I like watching his stuff, okay? Now, if you want a little bit more on what he's kind of like me, only nice. So he basically will tell it like it is, but not ruffle any feathers, so to speak. So I'm interested to see his take on this because I've had a lot of strong opinions on natural versus enhanced. And so we're going to see if I agree or disagree with what he says. See if we're on the same page or if we're not. And trust me, if we're not, I'm going to say why. So let's see.
I don't think any of us have any doubts that extra PEDs help.
Obviously, it's 2020. Who's going to say that they don't work? Obviously, they work. So then he goes into talking about a study. And it's the same stupid study that gets me riled up and makes me mad every single time because no one seems to know how to read the study other than me. Okay? So right off the bat, he gets into this study and he doesn't understand it. I think he does understand it, but he chose to present it in a way to lead people to believe something when it's not really true. Okay? What is that? That steroids build muscle without training.
The people who didn't exercise and took a placebo, so they didn't take the test, they took what they thought maybe was test, they had no change in their muscle mass. The group that took test and did not exercise still gained 7 pounds of muscle. Now here's where it gets real interesting. The people who took the placebo, so they were still natural, and exercised, only gained 4 pounds.
So they worked out for 10 weeks and gained 4 pounds of muscle, but the group that took test and didn't even work out gained 7 pounds of muscle. Hence people saying, well, geez, all we need to do is take tests. We don't even need to go to the gym. We'll build more muscle than those natural guys. And then the final groups, basically they took tests and trained and they gained 13 pounds of muscle. So based on this study, if you don't know what you're talking about, you're going to be like, yeah, you don't need to go to the gym. You can just take tests and you'll put on 7 pounds of muscle because the study proves it. But it proves a zero. We have 43 participants. Not all of them were actually doing all. It's not 43 in each category. It's 43 total participants in all. If you take tests, it's kind of like taking a water bloating device. It's like taking salt and water. It's like being bloated. Test bloats you. So when you gain 8 pounds, it's not 8 pounds of muscle. If you gain 4 pounds, it's not 4 pounds of muscle. It's maybe half, maybe if you're lucky. So the group that gained 7 pounds of muscle, they might have actually gained 1 pound of muscle. They might have gained 0. They might have gained 7 pounds of water retention. Testosterone will increase estrogen in the body. That's going to make you store more water weight. Everyone knows puffy, moon face, D-ball, poof, puffy, water intensive, the bloated steroid look. You can almost see, oh, you're on something now, you're puffy. Taking tests doesn't make you look leaner. In fact, when you take testosterone, it makes you look less lean. You look bigger because maybe your glycogen store is up, your water retention's up, but you don't look as lean. If you want to look leaner, you cut the test out. If you're on a bunch of tests and you stop taking it, you're going to actually look better. Without the test, you're going to get leaner. So a lot of people that think, oh, you're on tests, they can tell you're so ripped. That's stupid. That doesn't make sense. So he's actually using this study, to me, in the wrong way by saying that the test is building muscle without training. Now, when I say without training, I mean a training stimulus. If you're literally paralyzed and you can't stand up, you're paralyzed. We know what that means. You're not going to build your leg muscles up by taking tests. You can't just go on a test and trend cycle and build up massive quads if you're paralyzed. You need a training stimulus. But the group didn't go to the gym and they put on 7 pounds. Did they sit on the couch and not move for the whole time? Did they go play basketball? Tennis? Maybe they went to work. Were they lifting wood at work? Were they construction workers, cement layers, bricklayers? What jobs did they have exactly? Was their job completely sedentary to the point where they didn't lift anything the entire time? They were just laying back, sleeping, and not moving. Or did they have a labor-intensive job? If you're a lobster fisherman, like I did for a while back in the day, and you're lifting traps all day long, you can't tell me that if you took testosterone and went to that job, you wouldn't build muscle. Even without going to the gym, half the people that lobster fish don't have time to go to the gym. It's hard work. You're lifting all day. You're not training, you're lifting all day. Lifting all day, that's training. Lifting is training. But you weren't in the gym. So just because they didn't follow some approved freaking training program, RPE, whatever they made them do, and the whole split, I don't care what they did, doesn't mean that it actually doesn't build muscle or builds muscle. You can't use this study as proof of anything. It doesn't prove that muscle is built without training. It doesn't prove that muscle is not built without training. It doesn't. It just doesn't, okay? So don't use this study for anything anymore to prove or disprove anything. It is meaningless to me, okay? I don't want to argue about this topic anymore. Let's move to the next point.
If you're natural and you don't have all the advantages, you actually do need to train very intensely because it's harder for you to create the adaptation. You need to train really hard. You can't go in there and just goof off and do some pump sets and expect to get really big.
Boom! He just said it. We're 100% same page. So this is what I was hoping he was going to say. If you're natural, stop using being natural as an excuse not to train hard. If you're natural, it's harder for you to grow muscle. Absolutely it is. But it's not an excuse to start training like a pussy, say, oh, I can't train hard because I'm natural. Or, oh, if you see anyone in the gym training hard, they must be on gear. No, that is stupid. And John is pointing that out. He's saying if you're natural, you have to train hard to build muscle. Not maybe, not down the road. Have to, as in you need to be able to build the muscle. You need a strong stimulus for that muscle to want to grow. Not an RP of 5 and, oh, I can't train hard and maybe in 6 weeks I'll train hard for... No, you train hard. If you're natural, train hard. How hard? Harder than last time. That's how hard you should train. Watching him, he's saying it, he's literally agreeing with me. He's saying, naturally, you should train hard.
You have to train hard. You have to do sets to failure. You have to do that.
Not only does he say train hard, because hard is subjective, you have to take sets to failure. That's being very specific, because all you guys can argue, oh, hard is this, so I went RP of 3, I had only 3 reps to the tank. That's really hard because I'm natural. To failure. You have to take some sets to failure. Failure is when you can't do any more reps. You're, and then, oh, I can't do it. That's failure. You need to train to failure. Doesn't mean you train like an idiot and do cheat reps. It means you train hard to failure. Not every single set, but you do need some in there.
See, a lot of this is you're going to have a lot of people telling you exactly how many sets to do, but you're all very different. We all recover different. There's a lot of factors involved. So I want you to experiment, but I'm just giving you some guidelines. So start there. Just start with one set on each exercise to failure.
In which I believe as well, you can't just design a plan and just say, do every set to failure, do exactly 5 to failure. You don't know. And what I do and what he is saying to do is to use soreness as a measure of how hard did you really, truly train on the inside. If you went and you start out and when you first join the gym, now it might be not what he's suggesting. When you first join, don't go nuts. Go easy. Go real easy at first. I don't care how hard you train. If you've never trained before, even an easy workout is hard. Your body is just not used to it. You can get sore. It'd be like going for a 1 hour walk and you've never walked before. That's a hard workout. You don't want to start with a run. So go easy at first. If you're not sore the next day, you can handle more and go harder. How hard? Harder than last time. How often should you be doing these training? Well, you can go by the whole, it's 24 to 48 hour muscle protein synthesis after you work out and the whole thing. But it's going to come down to how long does it take to recover and how long does it take to feel like you can go back to the gym, not just physically, but mentally as well. You might not want to train the chest every 24 hours, even if protein synthesis is ready in 24 hours. I don't want to train chest 7 days a week. So you have to be mentally and physically able to do it as well. A lot of you are only training one body part a week. You can't just go from one body part a week to a body part every other day. So my advice here, train your whole body twice a week. If you want, you can also do it 3 times in a week. Max 2 to 3 times a week. That means chest 2 to 3 times a week, biceps 2 to 3 times a week. Getting the point? Shoulders, quads 2 to 3 times a week. Set up a 3-day split, for example. Train the whole body in 3 days, and then take a day off, and then repeat it and keep going. That's going to be about right. Or you could do your whole body in 2 days. Split your body into 2. Say upper body, lower body, whatever. Half and half. 2 days on, take a day off, and repeat. One of those programs should fit most people. If you're super advanced, crazy, it's so hard, and you're doing so much volume, so much intense, you're going to need to rest more. So maybe you're on a 4-day split or a 5-day split. But don't do a 7-day split where you only hit chest once a week. Don't. That's just not proper training, not scientific. So 3-day split, 2-day split, go in and train, and don't train so hard that you're sore. So John is saying, don't go by how many sets, go by how did you feel? How did you recover? If you're sore, don't do an extra set to failure. But if you're not sore and you're fresh as a daisy, then train harder and do another set to failure. So depending on where you're at in your training, if you never do any sets to failure and you're like you train half, like you're just a pussy, you just train half-ass, whatever. Just go a little bit harder, a little bit closer to failure. Don't just start going to failure all the time. So work harder than last time and keep approaching it. But if you're natural, realize you still need to train hard. Hard, as into failure. It's going to have to come. Not every single set, but warm up, get to that last set, and then do that last set hard.
We do go through phases where we don't quite want to have the intensity. We want to maybe just not go nuts. So in that case, then we usually pick up the volume a little bit.
If you want to not train hard all the time, because you just need like a mental break, he doesn't say take a deload. He says, just switch up your training. Maybe try doing none of the sets to failure, but just doing a little bit more volume. But not all the time. Don't be like, I'm just never going to do hard training. I'm just going to train with more volume from now on, because that's just easier to do, which it is. It's easier to never go to failure and just do a few extra sets. It's easier to do 10 easy sets than 5 really hard sets. It is. This is how it works.
I think one of the popular things now, I think it's a fad personally, is just training everything every day.
He's really respectful here. So he's just said, there's this kind of like this trend, this fad on the internet to train like your entire body every day. So basically, without saying what I say, don't train like Jeff Nippard, he just said, don't train like Jeff Nippard.
Now, if you did that all the time, all this high volume training, then it's probably going to be harder for you as a natural to build muscle because, again, all the cortisol release and all that stuff.
He never used his name because he's too nice. I am not. I will tell it like it is. Do not train like Jeff Nippard. He just said it's a fad, whatever. He doesn't believe in it. He's just not going to call anyone else. He's too nice a guy to do it. He'll leave it for me to do this.
And remember, as a natural, you're going to probably in 3 to 5 years of hard training, you'll hit your peak.
I have no belief that is actually true at all. I'm surprised that he said that. I don't think that he actually, maybe just spurt it out on the, a lot of these videos are not planned in advance, and you just kind of say things, and you might say something off guard. I don't think that John thinks that you're at your genetic limit in 3 to 5 years of natural training. But that's what he's saying. He's saying your limit in 3 to 5 years. He also says, you can train your whole body every day, but there's no way you're training hard every day. You just can't. And even if you did, you're not. You just think you are.
And maybe they are, but they're not doing it every single day. There's just no way. So for naturals, I know it's the in thing right now to do total body training. I just personally don't think it's the optimal way to gain muscle. I'm not saying you can't gain muscle. I'm just saying it's maybe not the most optimal way to gain muscle as you get through intermediate and advanced. If you're a beginner, sure, train your whole body every day, do whatever.
So he's like, if you're a beginner, you could kind of go in there and just play with weights and do each body part every single day. Well, I agree with that. But if you're advanced, you're not. And it's funny because the scientific literature that Jeff Nippard was pointing at was saying that if you are advanced, the more advanced you are, the more you should be training each body part every day. And that beginners should only be training it once in a week. That's all they needed to stimulate muscle growth and the whole thing. And I was like, that's like the opposite of what I would have said. So anyway, John is basically not calling anyone out. He's not saying anything against anyone, but he's clearly saying don't train like Jeff Nippard. So I'm saying it for him. Don't train like Jeff Nippard. But if you want to, and you don't care about maximizing muscle growth, and you're just looking for something fun to do in the gym, which is totally cool, then do it. Like, I'm not against just training for fun, like just going to look at girls and play in the gym and get some stress relief, get away from the house and the kids, and just go and train every single day, everybody. There's nothing wrong with that. And I'm not even being sarcastic. Like, you probably think I'm being sarcastic. Like, everyone, I don't even understand the sarcasm stuff. Anyway, it doesn't matter if you want to train that way, just enjoy training. Just like I can go for a bike ride outside, doesn't mean I have to race and go hard. I can just go out and look at the freaking scenery. It's fun. Go out for an enjoy ride. You can go to the gym and have fun. You don't need to just be like, oh, I'm hardcore, I'm going to compete. No. 95% of the people that I coach don't compete. So competitors are the most annoying anyway. I hate coaching competitors in general. I'm being honest. Half the competitors are screwed up in the head. Trust me. So if you don't want to compete, that is cool. I am not encouraging you to just, let's all compete. If you want to compete, that's awesome, and I'll help you. But trust me, it is annoying and it's very, very challenging. And I do it myself, and I like it, obviously. But I know the dangers involved.
What happens when you use the cluster dextrin, those carbohydrates also can kind of calm down, especially when it's combined with amino acids, those two together, can kind of calm down that cortisol response.
He's saying it's beneficial to take intra-workout. My feeling is it's not going to hurt. The differences are very negligible, if any. We're talking about that 1% difference. I think if you're not dieting and you're eating plenty, it's not going to really benefit you, especially if you just ate before the gym. However, if you're fasted or if you're not eating enough meals in the day, when you're eating 2 or 3 meals a day or training fasted, all that stuff, I absolutely believe that it would be beneficial. Or if you're dieting and you're like in a deficit and whatnot. And natural enhanced, I believe it's the same thing for either group. So take it as what you will. That's what I think. It's not like life dependent that you need it, but if you're dieting or if you're fasting and doing all those kind of things and skipping meals, certainly gonna benefit you.
As a natural, I tend to have people around 1 gram per pound of body weight, maybe slightly more if they're dieting. My people who are enhanced, maybe 1.25 grams per pound. I mean, I think if you're in that ballpark.
I'm around 1 for anybody. There's no benefit to going like 2 grams per pound or upping protein really high. And honestly, unless you're really dieting, you don't even need 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. If you're bulking or something, you don't need even nearly that much. It's not going to be more beneficial. The reason is because the other foods that you're eating have a nutrition partitioning effect on the other nutrients. So if you're eating a lot of carbs and fat, there's not really much danger that the protein is going to be used for energy. If you're eating tons of carbs and fat, protein is going to be used to do what it needs to do, which is build muscle. If you're dieting, a lot of the protein is going to be used for energy, and so therefore you might benefit from more protein. The reason I use a high protein diet is for the satiating effect that protein has. So it's more, when I eat chicken breasts, it makes me full more than if I eat rice. Carbs make you crave food more. It's not often somebody's like, oh, I went on a binge. I had 19 chicken breasts and couldn't stop. Or boy, once I started eating the egg whites and tuna, I just couldn't stop. I had 50 egg whites in a row, or I ate 15 cans of tuna. No, it's I ate candies, chips, ice cream, pizza, sushi, whatever it is. It's those kind of foods that trigger you to keep eating and you can't stop, okay? So on a diet, protein, a lot of protein, it's not for the building of the muscle, it's more for being full and not craving food and not overeating because you're dieting. So that's what I'm saying for protein. I think we're on the same page. He's around that 1 gram, maybe slightly over. I usually have more than 1 gram of protein per pound. It doesn't matter dieting or not. But I'm also eating a lot. When you're eating 3,000 plus calories a day, you're likely to have 1 gram per protein per pound of body weight. Just the math of it is simple. But if you're a dieter and you're only eating 1,200 calories, 1 gram of protein per pound is going to be a lot of protein in your diet as a percentage. Hopefully that's not too much mathematical for you.
Enhanced will add a lot of calories. Like I'm going to go from 3,000 calories to 5,000. And honestly, some of them can get away with it to a large degree. But if you try that as a natural, you're just going to gain a lot of fat.
A lot of naturals believe the opposite of what we're both saying. They're natural and they think, I'm natural. The only way I can gain muscle is if I'm in a large surplus. I need so much calories. And so I'm natural, so I'm going to just eat so much. And I have phone consults with people all the time, and they made that mistake. They think that they need to eat, and they gain 50 pounds, and it's mostly fat, probably 95% fat, and it's unfortunate. So if you're natural, do not believe you need this huge surplus. So, well, how much calories should you be eating? Just enough to have energy and feel good. If you have enough energy and you feel good, then that's the amount you need. If you're fatter than you want to be, just slowly get your body weight down to where you want it to be. Don't think you need to bulk up and get fat just because you're natural. If you're enhanced, you neither do you need to. 15% body fat for men is quite healthy. 25% for women is quite healthy. So if you're leaner than that and you're hungry, well, why not just get a bit heavier? That's not going to hurt you. But if you're already 20% body fat, there's no reason to gain more fat to hope to build more muscle. It's just not going to help you.
One of the things about dieting when you're natural is it's very easy to lose muscle. So think about this logically. If you put on a ton of fat, think about how hard you're going to have to work to get that fat off. And you're already at risk of losing muscle because you're in a caloric deficit for so long.
And then we totally, 100% agree on this. And I've been preaching this for years. If you bulk up, you're then going to have to diet longer. And when you diet, you're obviously going to be at a greater risk of losing muscle, especially if you're natural. So why bulk up if you're natural when you're going to have to diet even longer to get lean? As when you're dieting, that's the chance you're going to lose muscle is at its greatest. Cortisol levels are up. You're going to be basically fighting to not lose muscle on this extended diet. So if you have two people, they're both 10% body fat and they want to be shredded eventually. One goes on a bulk and they go up to 25%. They get super fat and they get all this muscle. Then they have to diet for 30 weeks to get the fat off. Versus the guys at 10%, I'm going to go up to 12. Goes up to 12, doesn't really gain a lot of weight, but then they only have to diet for a few weeks to get back into contest shape. Who do you think is going to be better in the long run? The guy that had to diet for 30 weeks in a deficit to try to get to where they were, or the person who is at 12% who doesn't have to diet very hard. So yeah, sure, it's easier when you're gaining and eating a lot of food and you're getting stronger and all that, but then it's the opposite of easy, as in hard, when you're dieting it off, so it balances out. So just from a health point of view, why force your body to get fat, obese, and all this stuff when you don't need to? It's not going to be beneficial for building muscle in the long run. So these bulks and cuts are stupid, and John is literally agreeing with me on this.
Whereas a natural, you don't quite have that risk. You're not gaining strength so fast that you're at that risk. So you can get away with a little bit more compound movements than a guy like, that's been cranking gear for a long time. He's got to be real careful that he doesn't pop something.
When you're enhanced and you're getting too strong too fast, there's so many pec tears that go on, bicep tears, injuries, and so on. And if you choose to be natural, the chances of you getting a devastating injury like that are way lower than if you're enhanced. So good on you for being natural. It's going to be harder to build muscle, of course, but you have less chance of injury, and the muscle you build, you get to keep. If you're enhanced, Hey, that's your choice. Not like I didn't choose it. You have more dangers to overcome. The muscle's going to come quicker, but you have a lot to deal with psychologically when you go off and you lose that muscle with your hormones and your health and the dangers of muscle tears and so on. Subscribe and click the bell button because you want to get notified so you can get to watch it right away. Comment first, comment fast and often. Do it. Watch more of these videos, and I'm going to bloop up a video over here and one over there. GregDoucette.com for coaching. Greg Doucette, IFBB Pro, Instagram, follow me. And I am out to eat French toast again, number 2, because I've been up since 4 a.m. It's 7 something now, and it's time for meal 2. French toast again, part 2. I'm out.